Imagine stepping onto a plane for the first time ever. It's traveling at over 200 kilometers an hour. Mid-flight, you call forward and step into the door. You step into the door, put your hands on the frame and look down at the world below. The red light comes on, your heart is racing. The green light comes on and you jump out into the slipstream, your body facing total disorientation. You cry, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, check canopy. You look up, the parachute opens and relief washes over you. As you descend, the ground rush sensation takes over as the earth races toward you. You squeeze tight to accept the landing as you crash into the floor. You lie there, your heart's beating. You're filled with exhilaration. Because when the green light came on, you did what you needed to do. This was part of my reality as a young boy joining the military. I still remember staring looking at big, imposing gates. I knew walking through them it would be daunting, but it would take me on a journey where I would learn and where I would grow. Little did I know that journey would bring me to the place I am today, standing here in front of you. I'm Shaun, a business coach with a passion for helping businesses reach their full potential. Much of my work is influenced by principles that I learned in the military. I believe it's our principles that provide us with our pathway to progress. And today, I'm going to share some of those principles with you. As a typical teenage boy, I loved playing football, chasing after girls, and getting lost in computer games. I never had a plan for my future until one day I walked past the Army Careers Office in my hometown. Drawn in, I felt an undeniable sense of calling. How many of you have ever felt that sense of calling? Maybe it was changing jobs, starting a business, or maybe pursuing some of your passions. I decided to join the elite Parachute Regiment, where the training is not for the faint-hearted. It's designed to weed out the weak and push recruits beyond their limits. As a child, I'd never been on an aeroplane before, and these guys jumped out of them. Those big imposing gates that I had to walk through to join the military, they weren't just physical barriers, they symbolised the tests and the challenges that lay ahead. And my decision to join the military settled on my shoulders like the heavy pack I was soon to carry. I can still vividly recall the smell of damp earth as we crawled through the mud, a taste of sweat and grit, the cold wind that cut through you on a 6 a.m. rise. Blisters on my feet and aching in my muscles were constant reminders of the physical toll on our bodies. But you know what? I loved it. Each of these tests was preparing me for P Company, the Parachute Regiment's test week. I undertook P Company in January 1998. Yes, that makes me old. Imagine the biting cold of a January morning with a 16-kilo pack pressing down on your shoulders. Your breath is visible in the freezing air. Feeling physically sick at the thought of the log and stretcher race. Breaking through the ice on the obstacle course and steeplechase left me freezing, drenched, and physically exhausted. Whilst this was a nightmare for me, for you, the people from Helsinki, you could probably liken this to your regular Tuesday morning ice bath. I'd like to ask you all now to imagine that you are Parachute Regiment recruits undergoing basic training. I can ask everyone on this side of the room, if you're physically able, on the first column up here, to raise your right arm high in the air. Now I'd like you to reach yourselves down and give yourself a big pat on the back. Those of you on this side, give them a round of applause. Congratulations, you have all failed. 60% of Parachute Regiment recruits never make it out of basic training. This means the probability of failure is greater than that of success. And something else close to my heart, which shares a very similar failure rate. More than 60% of businesses fail in the first 3 years. Does this mean the businesses that succeed are better than those that fail? Or the recruits that pass test week fitter than those that don't quite make it? Maybe, but not necessarily. This leads me to the first of 3 principles I'm going to talk about today. Number 1, taking action. Burying our head in the sand, indecision, and tackling challenges alone is the reason why many businesses fail today. Just like the red light moment of a paratrooper stood in the door, we will all face critical moments of decision in our lives and businesses. And it's these decisions that will define our destiny. The red light represents the hesitation and fear that paralyzes us and prevents us from moving forward. When the green light flashes, we must decide, do we back ourselves to move forward, or do we retreat and withdraw back onto the plane? Tackling challenges alone is where the second principle comes in, community. As a soldier, I remember freezing in a trench and looking across at my friend and colleague, who for the purpose of this story, I'm going to call Tom. He was standing there shivering uncontrollably. And despite the weather and harsh conditions, he looked at me, cracked a grin, and over the wind and the rain, I heard him say, "Whose bright idea was this then?" And we burst out into hysterical laughter. We were both fighting many internal battles at this point. The internal battle I was fighting was, why did I get myself into this situation? The shared moment and struggle created a powerful sense of camaraderie, community, and togetherness, and helped change what was a negative into a positive. To increase our chances of success in anything, we must have a strong community. A trusted team of people who will inspire, challenge, and support you. In business, this is no different. When pairing this with the third principle of maintaining a committed mindset, we will dramatically increase our business's chances of success. When I tackled Test Week, it was about having full commitment and focus regardless of the pressure and overwhelm faced. Each test that I passed increased my confidence and self-belief and helped shape the mindset and resilience required to serve a career as a paratrooper. When transitioning from the military into civilian life, the lessons I'd learned about resilience became even more pertinent. No sooner had I walked out of those big imposing gates than the job that I had lined up, I fell through. Immediately, I lost the safety of a monthly paycheck. I was no longer surrounded by my peers. I felt alone, and panic set in. I did what most people would do and returned to what I knew best, which at that point was the military. I went straight back to the careers office where I'd signed up, knocked on the door, and said, "Let me back in." I still remember the big, imposing colour sergeant who sat behind the desk. He took one look at me, held out his arm, and said, "Absolutely not. You left for a reason. Now go out there and make it work. If in a year from now you feel the same way, come back and we will talk." Being told no felt strange, but it was the exact word that I needed to hear. It helped push me out of my comfort zone and tap into that strong resilience and mindset that I built when becoming a paratrooper. Stepping into the security industry allowed me to work with many like-minded people. And during my career, I had the honour and privilege to serve some of the most influential people in the world. To my surprise and delight, my old trenchmate Tom was going to be joining me. He was also leaving the military and joining me on that first task and adventure within the industry. In both life and business, we will face many challenges that can turn our whole world upside down. Not every challenge is as obvious as those big imposing gates, icy water jumps, or that's someone saying no. Some challenges we just won't see coming. Have you ever had a moment where you questioned how many lives you truly have? They say a cat has 9 lives. During my time as a bodyguard, a paratrooper, I certainly feel like I'd used up some of mine. 9th of January 2006 in northern Iraq, tasked with protecting a team of engineers on what at the time was a routine mission. That morning began like any other. There was a chill in the air as we gathered under the cold grey sky for a briefing from our team leader on the mission ahead. Tom, as ever, was cool as a cucumber, brimming with confidence and sharing that big cheeky grin as he led the team out of the gate. All was going well then. Suddenly, the blast came from nowhere, completely shattering the morning calm. I still remember the blinding flash, the ear-splitting sound, and the dust cloud that enveloped us. Through the dust, my eyes found Tom's vehicle. It was silent, still, and my heart sank. After what seemed like minutes, but in reality was seconds, the driver's side door creaked open. Chris, one of our fellow team members, exited. He was shaken, but he was still alive. Then after a moment, completely suspended in time, Tom emerged against the backdrop of destruction. He walked towards us, but he looked pale, dishevelled. His hair was sticking up, and suddenly he dropped. What followed was a blur of action and urgency. Our medic rushed to Tom's side. The remainder of the team pushed out into all-round defence. I joined the medic to work on Tom, giving him oxygen and whispering words of encouragement, anything that would help tether him to life. Our team leader was on the radio calling for support, explaining we had casualties and we were in urgent need of assistance. We were informed that an American helicopter would soon arrive. The wait for the helicopter was agonising. The longer we waited, the more desperate the situation became. I recall looking at the doctor, whose sense of urgency became palpable. He explained, if support didn't arrive soon, that Tom wasn't going to make it. I thought to myself, is he just saying this to bring support to us quickly? Or is Tom really in danger of losing his life? There was no blood, there was no lost limbs, and he was walking merely minutes before. Then his vital signs dropped. We turned him over, and the back of his pants had filled with blood. The pressure of the blast wave caused significant internal damage. Over the moments, one of my best friends of almost 10 years was gone. Eventually, the helicopter arrived. Chris boarded with minor injuries before we carried Tom's body out. The loadmaster stood in the door, held out his arm, and explained, we cannot take the body. You are not military, you are civilian contractors, it's the responsibility of the company that you work for. Completely shocked and overwhelmed with disbelief, we then proceeded to load Tom, one of my best friends, into the back seat of our vehicle, his body sealed in a bag. And as we drove away, the gravity of the situation and loneliness of that journey weighed heavily on me. So I share this story to dispel the myth of 9 lives. We are not cats with multiple lives and opportunities. We have one life. It's a travesty that so many businesses fail. And there are unforeseen challenges that can impact our businesses and lives in unimaginable ways. Be it global challenges like COVID, Brexit, Ukraine, or personal challenges like that fateful day in January 2006 with Tom. Remember, it's our principles, your principles, that will provide you with your pathway to progress. Just like the paratrooper stood in the door, we will all face critical moments in our lives and businesses. The red light represents the hesitation and fear that prevents us from moving forward. When the green light flashes, it's our time to act, because the intention alone is not enough. Lock in that committed mindset. Ensure you're surrounded by the right people, people who will inspire, challenge, and support you. Find a mentor, get a coach, someone will help move you forward towards your goals. Taking action, building a strong community, and maintain that committed mindset. These principles are not abstract ideas. They are lessons that I learned from the military, so you don't have to. One thing's for sure, the green light will not stay on forever. So let's seize today, because in the end, we don't get 9 lives, we only get 1. Thank you.